Hello, good morning everyone. I am Shane Ligwa of Ed2B and I am one of the reporters for today. So I have a question. Does any of you have any idea what is geometry? Hmm? Okay, so thank you. So geometry is a fundamental branch of mathematics that explores the shapes, the size, position, and properties of objects in space. It helps us understand the world around us by providing a framework for describing and analyzing everything from the simplest lines and angles to complex three-dimensional forms, like solid figures that we will be discussing in this lesson. So, this chapter will introduce you to the fascinating world of geometry, starting from the basic building blocks of three-dimensional objects. So, for our lesson 1, we are going to talk about the solid figures, and here are the objectives. Okay, so now I want you to look around. What objects do you see? Okay. Okay, you might see a book, a table, a ball, a box. So, those objects occupy space and have three dimensions, which are the length, the width, and the height or thickness. So, all those things are examples of solid figures. In contrast, let us think about a drawing in a piece of paper. Can you draw something? You can draw a square, a circle, anything. Okay, so if you can see it, those things does not occupy space, right? They only have the length and the width. So they are called plane figures, okay? So the difference between solid figures and plane figures are the solid figures are three-dimensional objects, while the plane figures are only two-dimensional objects. Okay. So, plane figures are flat shapes, while solid figures have thickness and take up space. So, let us keep that in mind. Okay. So, now let's explore different types or different solid figures. So, the first one is cube. So, a cube, example, a solid figure with 6 square faces that are all in the same size. It has 12 edges and 8 vertical corners. So you can think of a dice, for example, of a cube. This is an example of a cube. The next is prism, a solid figures with 2 identical and parallel bases that are polygons, like triangles, square, rectangles, and etc. So the other faces are parallelograms. So prism is named based on the shape of their bases. A triangular prism, a rectangular prism, a pentagonal prism. So yeah. So here an example is a Toblerone chocolate. Have you already seen a Toblerone chocolate? Okay, that is an example of a triangular prism. Okay, the next is pyramid. Okay, so pyramid is a solid figure with a polygonal base and a triangular faces that meet at the single point called the apex or the vertex. So pyramids are also named based on the shape of their base. Example, triangular pyramid, square pyramid. Okay. So you can think of the pyramids in Egypt. Have you already seen it in a TV? Okay, so here, an example. The next is a cylinder. So, cylinder is a solid figures with 2 parallel and congruent circular bases connected by a curved surface. So, an example is a can of soda or a round pencil. So, next is cone. So, cone is a solid figure with a circular base and a curved surface that tapers to the single point called the apex or vertex. So, here an example of a cone. The next is the sphere. The sphere. A perfectly round solid figures where every point on its surface is the same distance from its center. It has no edges or verticals. So you can take a globe or a ball for an example. Okay? Does any of you have any questions? Okay, if not, so this topic will be continued by the next reporter. Thank you. Bye.